Next one's a little bit different. Completely different subject. Have you, dear viewer, have you seen the talk about the films that are currently in the theaters? Because I have, and I'm getting fucking sick and tired of looking at it. In front of us, we've got a whole bunch of shit talking from verified check marks on Twitter. What are they talking about, pray tell? Joker and It Chapter 2. Let's start off. Let's start off with the first one. Let's start off with Joker. It's possible that Joaquin Phoenix may be up for the Academy Film and Sciences for an award, because they're already sizing him up for telling a story that everybody seems to be interested in, except for the woke journos. Why? Well, let's read his article and figure it out. Empire Magazine reports, could comic book movies finally break the Oscars in 2020? Ben S. Travis explores the early award chances of Joker and Avengers Endgame, with the featured on Empire Online. With Ben Travis and Jim Zub apparently having a back and forth here, where Jim Zub decides to give us a hot take of Heath Ledger won Best Supporting Actor, Into the Spider-Verse won Best Animated, and Black Panther was nominated for Best Picture. There are 35 films in the IMDb list for Oscar-nominated winning comic book space pictures. I think we're okay. Following up from him, a take I'm pretty sure every single person has seen already. Heather Antos, writer at Valiant, who got canceled at Marvel twice, tells us, well, not even his own words, actually, Rachel Miller's words, why the Joker movie is problematic. This should sound very familiar to you. Not just because we hear it all the time, but the reason that this should sound very familiar to you, dear viewer, is because this is the same shit that ExtraCredits was on. What do you mean, Carl? This is them crying loudly about things that they say they don't want normalized. Stop normalizing Nazis, remember? Well, this is stop normalizing incels. Stop normalizing homophobia. How is it? How? We ask. That too is apparently a slight. If you don't understand how, I can tell you how. It's a Kafka trap. If you want to understand how it's a Kafka trap, let's dive into the actual response written by Miller that we're offered. See how that actually works out, right? I've pinpointed exactly what bothers me about a Joker movie. I don't want to watch a movie that shows us the trauma that drove the Joker insane. I don't want to watch a well-intentioned but unstable man get bullied until he turns into a mass murderer. You mean a honkler? I don't want to watch a man get rejected by women as an excuse for his future of domestic abuse. I don't want to be shown what a poor, unfortunate underdog this man is, who was sadly forced by circumstances, you mean society, and that nasty Batman to take up a life of crime. I don't want to have sympathy. I don't want to have sympathy for a man best known for his robbery, murder, and arguable rape shoved down my throat for 2 hours. I don't want this to be sold as a relatable story that can happen to anyone with a bad enough day, and I don't want to be around any of the lonely white boys who relate to it. Do you see what I'm getting at? Yes, Rachel, I understand exactly what you're getting at. You don't want to use your brain. You don't want to have to be asked to sit down and watch a film for what it is. A film. It's not real, Rachel. It doesn't exist. It can't hurt you. It's not going to leap out of the screen and grab you by the cankles and bend you over the fucking chair. I know you want it to, since you're projecting, but it's not gonna happen. And even if it did, it's happening in your head, the same way it's happening on this paper. I don't know if there's ever a good time for a movie that paints mass murder as the logical conclusion of a socially isolated, debatedly neurodivergent white man being failed by the system, but I feel as though this is not fucking it. I don't want to see a movie that idolizes the Joker when there are plenty of easily armed fuckboys who already think he has the right idea without adding a tragic backstory to elicit sympathy. I also don't want the narrative line to be drawn between mental illness and mass murder, as so often done in modern eras to Batman villains, and as is so common with the Joker. In particular, I don't want it to get highlighted and underlined in Sharpie as well. God, I'm sick of the Joker! Would you like to know something that I'm very seriously tired of? I'm very seriously tired of Harley Quinn. You want to know why I'm seriously tired of Harley Quinn? I'll tell you. I'm tired of going outside every fucking Halloween and seeing nothing but Spencer's Gifts selling Harley Quinn merchandise. Do you know why, Heather? I'm excessively and exacerbatedly tired by it? Because the Joker appeals to basic white guys, and not even white guys at that. So let's just eliminate the entire racism part of that sentence that you formulated in your own head. The reason I hate it is because it appeals to basic motherfuckers. Basic ass men who see themselves in the Joker and say, oh my god, that's literally me. The same way that Harleen Quinzel, Harley Quinn, appeals to basic white bitches. You know why I think that? And you know how I know that in my bones? Because every single time we create a character of the Joker, Harley Quinn follows up right fucking behind him. You've seen the memes. I've seen the memes. And I made one of the memes the thumbnail for this video. It's because basic ass people will only know X amount of characters from canon lore, right? If you go across Marvel, which ones do you more commonly recognize without having to call back to the MCU? Captain America, Spider-Man, X-Men, possibly just Logan by himself, Magneto, Jean Grey, the Dark Phoenix, Deadpool, and that's honestly it off the top of your head for like the most popular characters that you can just gush about. What are the characters for DC? Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Cyborg, anything to do with the Teen Titans, Robin, Nightwing, Damian Wayne, Nightwing, or Robin, the Red Hood, Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul, the Flash. I guess you could add Aquaman, Young Justice, the Joker, and finally, Harley Quinn. Out of all the popular characters, and out of all the bullshit that you could try to make up to try to explain this bullshit being real, I hate Harley Quinn most of all. Because she is the most prone to the, oh my god, she's literally me bullshit. Basic ass people looking for character traits that they can relate to in a character like her is the bottom rung of thinking. But it's at least considering. They sympathize with her. They don't directly relate to her. She's a higher intelligent woman, but they see themselves in her and her wild bullshit. Enough so that there were memes about it. Same for the guys as it is for the girls. And since it is the same for the guys as it is for the goyles, I have to ask you another question, Heather. Why are you excusing yourself and Heather and all of those other people, the ones like you and Rachel, why are you giving them an out so that you can claim that it's okay to fearmonger? Because this is fearmongering. You saying, I don't want to think I don't want to feel is you saying, I don't want to look at. And you don't want to look at it because it hurts you. And the reason you don't want to look at it because it hurts you is because you're directly responsible for this. You, people like you, not even just people in the industry, people like you are the reason that this story is being told. It's the reason somebody thought of it being a good idea to write in a screenplay. Because the purpose of fiction is to have a means of telling a story and just revealing a light on allegories that are congruent with life. It is a congruent fact of life that men are currently killing themselves at 3.5 times the rate of suicide as women. To the point where you say, guys, 1 in 4 women are homeless. You know what I hear? That's a very fucked up way to say 3 out of 4 men is actually homeless. When you say, guys, 1 out of 3 women are without a job. That's a fucked up way for you to say 2 out of 3 men are out of a job. If we were to get people off the street, you would still find a way to take a statistic and try to change it so that you can say men doing something badly or men failing out on something makes the women the most affected victims of all. And yet, when a film exists congruent to your job, something that you should know about as a comic writer, Heather, when something congruent to your job comes out, you as a writer are actively telling people, I don't think I should be allowed or you should be allowed to think for yourselves. I think I should give the power to basic-ass people who don't think further than the sentence that they thought was smart in their head. They should not have the power to decide for themselves if something is real or not. That's stupid as hell. And it's stupid as hell because you know it's stupid as hell. You, of all people, someone who spends day in and day out bullying people like me, you and Gail Simone and Sina Grace and Kwanzaa Oshefo, Moose Bauman, each and every one of you, especially Heather, someone who's been writing The Unstoppable Wasp and has been canceled not once, but twice. You, someone who cannot keep their books stocked and sold on the shelves, even to libraries, have the audacity to say that you don't want to be asked to think about characters and why they're relatable, or why characters are chosen to have stories written about them. See, what you're telling me is, Clown Man bad, Clown Woman weak. Because what's the problem with Joker, Oh, but he's relatable to incels. I bet he probably is. I bet he probably is. You know what's also relatable to the same group of people? You confirming their confirmation bias, as well as you doing it to confirm your own. Yes, I'm pretty sure that people are going to relate to the Joker if they want to ask themselves, how does a man get to the point that he snaps like that? Even in the ideology, which you very clearly point out is the point of the goddamn film, that it takes just one bad day to turn somebody into a honkler. That's the character of the Joker. By that same degree, what's the character of Harleen Quinzel? A woman who falls for a bad boy, criminal, but bad boy, who lies to her, emotionally and sexually and physically abuses and manipulates her, until she's so crazy that she is physically attached to him like an emotional and personal parasite that is constantly co-signing all of his worst crimes, to the point that she, if she really wanted to, could be an even more radical and dangerous figure than him. You expect me to believe that you're just gonna ignore that? Like, cycle that shit around in your head real quick. Does that make sense to you? See, no one's saying that, guys, we need to watch the Blu-ray special of The Killing Jokes where Barbara Gordon gets shot in the spine by the Joker, gets raped by the Joker, and then he takes pictures of him doing this to her and sends the pictures to Commissioner Gordon. We need to stand this man because we agree with him. That's not real. Show me where you got that from, because that's not real. That's not things that people actually think. No one thinks this, not even the incels. I'm pretty sure there's some radical ones out there on the fringe, but you're not talking about those people. You're trying to cast a grand generalization on the modern populace, and it's not applicable because that's not what people are thinking. No one rational has said this, and even the irrational people are not pointing to this when they talk about this with you. You did the same thing that the other girl that I just labeled a fucking thread for did, where you said some wild ass fucking aspersions and then doubled down by saying, and I fucking quote, "It was not that long ago when a socially isolated, disgruntled white man who felt wronged by society quite literally dressed up as the Joker and shut up a movie theater in Colorado." Homie, baby, buddy, bullfuckery. You said some random ass shit that you knew you'd get ratioed for, and so you're trying to double up and cover up what you said to try and claim that it's gonna be justified. And it's not. It's just not. There's no controversy about that, other than the fact that you really don't want it to be on screen, which tells me I should take my ass to go watch it. And of course, she blocked me for replying to her, because there is multiples of her fucking posts and replies where she's just going on and on a tangent like this. What? No. If you're this upset about the Joker, go outside. You need some help. Because it's not that serious. It's just not. And speaking of shit that's not that serious, congruent to this is another issue with the other film. It, Chapter 2. Why? Because some people apparently don't read the books. Apparently. They never read the books. But there are some people who didn't read the books. Period. Didn't read the books. Didn't research it. Didn't Google it. Didn't spend any amount of time actually going in and looking at it. Nah. They didn't do shit. They instead went into the film, came out of the film, and had the audacity to ask for a trigger warning. Real shit. Real shit. Right here. Pennywise is surprisingly anti-queer in It Chapter 2. The killer clown isn't the ally we thought he was. No. Really? Shit. What was your first clue? Was it the part where he terrorizes young children? It terrorizes young children to salt the meat because it makes them taste better when he eats them? Was it the part in the book where Stephen King tells you that it was intentional because it was based on an action of actual gay bashing that happened in the 80s? Was it the part where it does what it does? Was it the part where it's a horror movie? Like, tell me where the fuck we lost you, because apparently you didn't figure this shit out. We already knew, but you apparently didn't. And you're so mad about it that you're asking for a trigger warning. Real shit. Up and down Twitter. All day. All day. And for the last 3 days, all of you all saying, no, you need a trigger warning, guys. Trigger warning for the clowns. Oh my god, guys, trigger warning. It's so uncomfortable. Guys, the film was so hard to watch. I didn't expect there to be violence. I didn't expect there to be things like this. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. I don't even know if the main post that did the biggest blast of this, that got all of that caterwaul wall-to-wall coverage, was actually still in here in this thread. I think he might have closed it down. I can't find it. If you can, direct it to me in my inbox, because it's funny as hell. And you want to know? You want to know how stupidly bad it is? How stupid the conversation about this is going around right now? Reset Era is talking about this. And dude, the takes are delicious. You want to see what they look like? I'm going to show you what they look like as soon as the page loads. They actually did something right for once. Reset Era actually phrased and framed the situation correctly, because they didn't jump to conclusions. They didn't actually overreact in the conventional sense that you might be prepared to expect them to react in. They actually talked about the fact that this is in the book. I believe it's probably in the first chapter, actually. It's either the first paragraph or it's the second or third. I can't remember. It's been a while since I read it. But it's in the book. It's one of the first things that's actually described. They talk about it. And the funniest shit happens as they're talking about it. They start here. Like, they pull up the New York Times article about it referencing the bashing that happened in Maine. The victim of Banger, Charlie Howard, who was attacked on State Street Bridge in 1984. They talk about it. They bring it up. They mention it. They discuss it amongst themselves. You want to know the funny thing that they fucking did? You know the hilarious thing that they did? They were suspending and banning people for mentioning the fact that it was a spoiler. And they were banning them by labeling the bans as derailing a sensitive thread and for drive-by posts. And even they understand. Yeah, they're aware that this is a very old crime and that also it is a very old book. But it's spoilers. Y'all for real? 3-day ban. Spoil. Multiple people saying, hopefully one day society will view spoilophobia in the same light as homophobia. And even their own people is telling them, you cannot be this fucking dumb. And then other people mentioning that the fact that the very title of the thread is a spoiler that relates to a scene of a crime that a lot of people would be aware of. And even on an enthusiast forum, it's pretty reasonable to hide the spoiler in a warning. All of them keep mentioning, dude, this is a spoiler. It spoils a scene that exists. It doesn't detail it, and it's the first scene of the film. Some saying it's not a big deal. Other people saying, I was always so affected by the part in the book, considering the brutality of what happens to the character, and everybody's complaining about the spoilers. Oh my god. It's hilarious. It's really, really funny. Looking at it, it brings up a very serious problem when it comes to people's opinions about movies and how they choose to view them and how they talk about them. And I had this realization while going over this. And I talked to myself about it. Like, I ran this shit through my own brain. And I thought, how the fuck do y'all think like this? See, I expect people like Heather Antos to have horrible fucking takes, because all Heather Antos and the likes of people currently still in the big two industry where they're too busy trying to sell you propaganda, to sell you their fucking books, and have the audacity to tell you that you can report them to their fucking business owners because, well, I just don't give a shit. For the likes of her, for the likes of Moose Bauman, for the likes of Kwanzaa Ojeofo, to turn around and say, no, I don't want your money. While at the same time trying to tell you about what you need to know and what you need to do about how you analyze social justice politics inside of your fucking media. At the same time, you have an entire internet of people throwing themselves in a fucking frenzy over something they should already know about because it's in the source material. I asked myself, how do they think like this? How is this even a rationalization? And I think I got it. Because you see, they like to pretend that the crying game doesn't exist, right? Because think about it. They say the same shit that ExtraCredits said. You can't normalize Nazis. You can't normalize emotions. You can't have sympathy for the devil. You can't sympathize with a villain. You can't understand a villain. You can't even tell the story of how that villain came to prominence. Because if you explain who they are, if people can relate to them, they're gonna normalize their behavior. The very essence and action of platforming an idea to them in the virtue of a story, of a foible, of an actual fable told on screen with actors in production work. The very essence of explaining, possibly even given one of many interpretations of how a character comes into being, what makes a person tick and what makes them into that kind of monster, that in and of itself to them is considered normalization of a politic or of a body politic or of an idea that they consider harmful. So much so that they need to suppress that idea. Because suppressing the idea prevents people from thinking it. And then if they can prevent people from thinking those ideas, they can just present the ones they think that should be spoken about. It's the reason why we're not going to be watching a lot of MCU Phase 4 films in this household. Because why the fuck would I ask, and why the fuck would I sign on for propaganda to be shoved down my fucking throat? There's a difference between giving an allegory and giving propaganda. Propaganda is you telling me the reasons why answer A is correct and why B and C can never be listened to. And an allegory is setting up the situations where we ask ourselves, well, why is answer A, B, and C like this? And what would happen if a person were to do those things? The framework is what creates the possibility for a person to understand. It's the same reason why you choose to claim that everything that is actually a men's problem somehow is an issue that affects women most of all. Because you see it as a dichotomy. It's an on-off switch that you choose to pretend exists in your head and everybody else's head the same way. So that you can say to them, no, you can't think that, that's a bad look. You're trying to bully them into agreeing with you, is the problem, and the reason why. You see it as a zero-sum game where you need those resources. You need to be the ones who are in control of the power. So once you have control of this, you're able to explain how you're right and everyone else is wrong. You don't trust people to think for themselves, because you know that most people would probably not agree with you. And you know it. So you have to find ways to make them agree with you. And in the way that Reset Era chooses to do it, y'all choose to bully people and ban them off your own fucking platform. And that doesn't make sense. Because last I fucking checked, in the high year of 1992, 2 years before I was fucking born, y'all been doing this same ass bullshit for the longest time. I don't remember when The Crying Game was released, but I remember the first and the 50th time that I watched that film. If you don't know about The Crying Game, which honestly you should, it's a film that details and shows a very accurate depiction of a transgender woman as played by a man. And as you know, in current year, that's haram. Why? Because it's not the kind of representation that the people that we're dealing with like to see or hear. They think that only a trans person can play a trans character, and only a man can play a male character, or only a woman can write, can draw, and can portray a woman. And yet, if you watched a film like Suspiria 2018, you watched a woman not only play a woman and a giant creature of proportionate size, of gluttonous girth, but also portray a man. Honestly, I don't know how you can try to claim that men can't be other things, or women can't be other things, or transgenders can't be other things. Because that's probably more transphobic and more queer and homophobic than anything any of these films that you're accusing are actually guilty of, for any gender or for any racial denigration you choose to assign it. You asked for tolerance, acceptance, inclusion, and representation, not indoctrination. The more you choose to pretend that you're right, the more people are going to push back against you. Because all you succeeded in doing is ensuring that I go see these films at least twice on a Monday matinee at the Dollar Theater. I mean, some of them are things I'm not really proud to see or happy to know that exist. Not exactly all that hyped about them. I don't really care that much. But the fact that you're telling me that I shouldn't watch them, that I shouldn't see them, is only going to encourage me to go the opposite direction than what you're doing. You're really going to sit here and tell me that I can't understand the Joker and I shouldn't put any thought into it. But you're also going to tell me that, guys, secretly, not only should we stan Luna, we should totally stan Gotham City Sirens. Because, yo, we don't like the male gaze over here, despite the fact that Suicide Squad and the character of Harley Quinn 100% is the male gaze. You choose to present this idea as though these two things are different, but they're the same thing. You want to claim that guys are going to look into this? I'm telling you that women are most definitely looking into this. It's the same shit. Why can't you admit that it's the same? I don't know why you can't. I know why you're not, but I don't know why in your brain you can't. It might actually just be a switch on the back of your head. You turn your brain off when it's time to think about things that could relate to you, and then you turn your brain back on, and you shit out nasty-ass fucking takes that don't even get close to the opinion that you should be going towards if you were a writer worth of your fucking salt. Here's an idea, right? How about the collective of all of y'all who are mad about shit like Comicsgate? How about if you can get yourself a piece of that $2.1 million pie that you're missing out on? Maybe if you can keep yourselves at 50 fucking books sold, 5K numbers on Comic-Con in a month to month concurrently, maybe if you can start selling shit like Boom Studios is selling shit, like some independent release dates are being sold on some shit. Maybe if y'all can be able to get on that Indiegogo and Kickstarter money, maybe if y'all can get that GoFundMe money, maybe if you can show us that you can actually sell a fucking book, maybe then I'll give your opinion some credit. How about you sell me a fucking copy of the book, Masaggio? How about that shit? How about you try to get me to put myself and fuck with you on your book? How about you get me to buy your back catalog? How about you get me to be sold on a Coates run of Black Panther? Instead of me just simply ignoring your shit and buying an entire trade deck of nothing but Priest. How about that shit? Think you can handle that? If you can handle that, then please trust people to handle their brains for themselves. They don't need you to think for them. The harder you keep trying, the further you're going to push them in the direction to do it. Because this is what I don't understand, right? You choose to segregate the part of your brain that tells you maybe we shouldn't keep getting upset that they're including us. Because what you're doing is a holding pattern. You say, no, that's not right, but you're not giving us a platform. If you want to be included, then you need to take what you get. And instead of crying for more power and trying to petition and lobby to get that power on behalf of companies, so you can say that, hey, the writer for Disney Plus and all those shows, they deserve to have that. When we have recordings of them saying it's a feminist win for them to make a man upset and block them on the internet. People who you're trying to get to push their fucking books that don't sell and keep getting rebooted out of all shit, upon the shelves for you to then get people who are woke-ass hipsters to buy so that you can justify its existence on Disney Plus, right? You know that books don't sell. You know that your books don't sell because your characters are bad. You know that the books don't sell because the characters are bad, and so you try to force them into the MCU of all things, so that you can say, oh, but this is how the character's always been. When we know for a fact it's a hot fucking shit take, and it's not. It never has been. It's never been popular, and it never will be popular, no matter how many times you try to justify it. It didn't make... Black Panther, the film, did not make Black Panther, the character, more popular. Christopher Priest made that character as popular as he was so that you could try to take him and diversify him into being something extremely fucking woke. To the point that it is a mockery of its actual origin. It was you that thought that you could take She-Hulk, that you could take Squirrel Girl, that you could take Miss Marvel, that you could take the character of what you invented to make as a replacement for Tony Stark. You to take Riri Williams and Ironheart. You to take the new champions. For you to take Arthur Chu. To take all of these characters and make them into your new gods. Because that's what you're trying to do. You're just trying to find a way so you can make an excuse to push this shit onto us and consume it. And I'm sorry. I'm not going to consume product just to get excited to consume more product. I like quality. If you can provide me quality, then we can talk. Until you do, I don't want to hear a mumble fucking word out of the bunch of you. Again, sell me on one of your books. If you can't handle that, I think I can handle doing it for myself, huh? That's my take. I don't really have much more to say. I'll see you guys next time. From the wacky and wild world of Twit and Her. And if at any point and at any moment you need to just remind yourself what's most important. What's most important here is if they're this mad about the films, if they're this mad about the books, they're probably good. You should probably read them. Torrent it, buy it in the store, get it on the internet, go to a website and read scans of it. Who cares? Just go watch it for yourself. Go see it for yourself. And remember, it's only fiction. It's not real. It's not going to kill you. And no matter how much you scream and you whine and you cry, screaming and whining and crying doesn't get you what you want. Try again. Convince me that I'm wrong. If you can, then we're talking. If you can't, piss off. Mwah. Good night, everybody.